So it's been so difficult to find a suitable upgrade for this ancient 6-year-old ASUS Predator gaming monitor. It's 1440p, which is not the greatest resolution, and it's only at 165 Hertz in terms of refresh rate. The issue is that all these manufacturers are pushing OLED down our throats. They're telling us that we need to upgrade to an OLED display in order to get very crisp blacks and have the highest refresh rate. But they have totally forgot a segment of the market, the hybrid productivity gamer. Gaming at night and then work during the day. And this ASUS ROG Strix XG27UCG seems to be the solution to my quest of finding the perfect hybrid monitor. And the killer feature with this monitor is that hopefully with one button, hopefully it's very intuitive, I can switch to 1080p and I can play my CS2 at a whopping 320 Hertz refresh rate at 1080p. You know, I find it really odd that these manufacturers were pushing OLED, and it's only until recently that Dell and ASUS have released a dual refresh rate monitor that satisfies hybrid productivity gamers. And the thing with OLED is that it's susceptible to burn-in. So you're going to be looking, let's say, for example, an editor, maybe you're a programmer, maybe you're a video editor, and you're going to have these static bars and they're slowly going to get burnt in, especially if you have a white background and whatnot. So it was totally out of the question. Of course, I would love to just get OLED, but I'm just so glad that these manufacturers are finally listening to us. It almost felt like the hybrid productivity segment was totally dropped, and which is really odd because if you want to get a productive monitor, you know, for editing, coding, and all that stuff, they seem to only offer these, 3x2, more square orientation monitors, but they're all stuck at 60 Hertz. And it's kind of weird because if you look at the MacBook, it has ProMotion display. Anyways, let's unbox this. I'm going to give you my first impressions and I'm going to answer these key questions. Number one, is the 4K display really good for productivity? This is a 27-inch display, and I think that is the sweet spot in terms of kind of a desk setup like that. You don't want to get any bigger because that requires you to start turning your neck, which can cause a lot of neck strain. Trust me, you don't want to get those ultra-wide displays. I find it very odd when these programmers on YouTube are having these huge displays. Ever heard of Alt-Tab or effectively switching between windows? It's very, very strange that they're pushing these ultra-wide monitors. They're just really bad for ergonomics. So 27-inch is the sweet spot. Is the 4K display going to be good enough for video editing, photography, all that stuff? We're going to find out. The next thing about this is the USB-C connection. So I have my 16-inch M1 Pro, which I love to use for work and whatnot. In order to get the full refresh rate with an M1 Pro, you would have to hook it up with DisplayPort. And on a lot of these gaming monitors, for example, the Dell monitor, which offers a similar dual display with a high refresh rate at a lower resolution, it doesn't have a DisplayPort for USB-C DisplayPort, which is terrible. So this is the only one on the market so far that offers that. But unfortunately, it does not offer a high charging rate. It only goes up to like 12 watts, but I'm hoping to see if this will just keep my MacBook at the 100% mark and maybe not degrade, because these MacBooks are very power efficient. Another thing that I'm going to really miss transitioning to this type of monitor is the lack of a USB 3.0 hub. This one had it. It was really convenient to be able to hook up, for example, my monitor light bar so that I could turn off my monitor and it would also turn off my monitor light bar, and I can also connect high powered like webcams and stuff like that. This one doesn't have it, and the Dell one does have it, but I don't like where the position of the ports are. They're at the bottom, so the wires stick out. It looks very ugly. And this is all very weird because I also have in my other office a MSI Mag 27U monitor, and it has a high power PD USB-C display port that shoots out 65 watts of power, and it also has a hub. Granted, it's USB 2.0. And I just wish that this monitor would offer the same features, a USB hub and a very powerful USB-C port, but it doesn't have it. But we got to make some compromises. At least I'll be able to connect to my MacBook and I can get that ProMotion fluid display. Another thing I want to answer is, in CS2, is it worth having a higher refresh rate at 1080p? Is there a noticeable difference going from 160 Hertz all the way to 320 Hertz? That's definitely something I want to show. And the last question I want to answer is, does this monitor have coil whine? This is one of my biggest pet peeves with a lot of monitors. In fact, I had to return the Gigabyte M27U because it just had a very obvious coil whine. Not to mention it had some flickering. I think it was defective. And I just really don't like coil whine when you plug it in. So is the 4K quality good? How's the USB-C connection? Does it keep my MacBook up to date? Is the high refresh rate at 1080p really that much worth it? Would you rather just stick to a 4K high refresh rate monitor instead? And is there coil whine? Let's answer all these questions and let's unbox it. All right, so what do we get in the box? VIP notice, instructions. We got some really cool stickers here. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I thought the power brick was going to be inside the monitor. So this potentially could be a good thing, because when the power brick is outside the monitor, there's a lower chance for there to be coil whine, because it's kind of just outside the monitor. Oh wow, so we got a bag of stuff. This is kind of interesting. Probably HDMI 2.1 cable, probably really high quality. Our power adapter. Interesting, so the stand is already mounted in. So let's check out the ports. The first thing we have is a audio jack. Then we have DisplayPort USB-C. Then we have our DisplayPort, which you probably want to use for G-Sync. Then we have HDMI 2.1, very fast. It can handle the 4K hertz. And then we have our power DC in. So interestingly, the power is outside the block. This is not what I had expected. Okay, so I'm not sure what this is, but this seems like some kind of backplate. And then for the base stand, let's actually install it. So I like that it's not too wide. It sticks out like my Acer Predator. It's just like kind of like a flat, square-ish type of stand. So we just gotta attach it over here. So we have some cable management, and we have a 1/4" thread over here, so you can put your tripod or some kind of light accessory over here. That's a really nice attention to detail. All right, so the moment of truth. Let's see if it survived the shipping process and did not come with a cracked screen, because I've had that happen before. Not too heavy, maybe because the power is outside. All right, moment of surprise. All right, how does it look? Got a small chin over here, not too bad. A nice matte finish to it. All right, so let's check out the rotations. Go side to side. This is the maximum here. Maximum over here. And it also has these dotted lines along this circular rotation, so that you know the exact position you may want to be in the future. Now we can go up or down, go all the way down like that. This thing protrudes out a little bit. Here you can put your tripod, so I can mount some kind of accessory on top of it. Then we go all the way back to the top. Now we can rotate this. This feels solid. The plastic feels solid, everything feels nice. So I typically keep my monitor on a third-party stand called the Ergotron, but this time I might switch that out. It fits really nicely on this Grovemade stand, and I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check this out. Yeah, I might keep it like this instead. I mean, the only downside with this Ergotron stand is you had to manually set the height. Obviously you have all these adjustments over here and stuff like that. But if you wanted to move it up and down based on your height and stuff like that, you couldn't do that. With the new monitor stand that comes with the ASUS ROG, that's going to be possible. Of course, you're not going to have this seamless kind of floating style monitor, but it's still going to be more functional, I think, in the end. So yeah, I'm really going to miss this Ergotron stand. It was really nice. You know, this flexibility. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out, but it was definitely a great stand. No, I'm not the type of person that wants to have two monitors. It's just too bulky and clunky and distracting. You really got to just use Alt-Tab and just be able to quickly maneuver between different windows and tabs and stuff like that. Okay, I just unplugged the USB hub. Definitely something I'm going to miss. And we just simply pop it off and say goodbye to this monitor. Quick correction, it does not include an HDMI 2.1 cable, unfortunately. It only includes a DisplayPort cable. And this kind of sucks because this is a rather expensive monitor. I would have loved to include a USB-C cable and an HDMI cable, but no, you gotta buy your own. And in case if you were wondering, this is a cover for the back in case you want to give a little bit of more aesthetic look if anyone is looking at this direction towards the monitor. But this is gonna be facing a wall, so we don't really need it. So I'm gonna route the cables into the nice cable routing. That's a nice little touch. 120 watts, we're gonna plug it in. I really hope this prevents the coil whine. All right, so now that we have the monitor kind of set up properly, obviously it's a big mess over here, let's run some basic diagnostics to make sure that this thing is working fine. So the first thing I'm gonna look for is dead pixels. Okay, I just don't see any dead pixels. So that's a great positive sign so far. Okay, here's the black, by the way. I have to say the backlight bleed, and if this is at a pretty high brightness, is pretty damn controlled. Like I have to say, so I'm looking right in the middle. And this is probably one of the better IPS panels I've seen. It is pretty darn good. Like, text is very sharp and clear, just as I would expect for a 27-inch display. Coil whine test. I can't hear anything so far. Now, in order to do a proper test, sometimes you have to turn it off. Let's turn it off. Turn it back on. So this is just a very, it's not a high frequency. From farther away, I think I hear less of it. Yeah, it's basically not there. I think my previous Acer Predator had much worse coil whine. So yeah, I think I did a good job. Now the boot up time for this monitor isn't as fast as I liked as I turn it off. See, yeah, the coil whine is completely off at this point, but it's not audible. It's definitely not worth returning, that's for sure. Oh, I think I just saw a dead pixel. Shit. Oh yeah, we got a dead pixel, a really small one right here. How did I not see that originally? Oh God. Okay, we do have a dead pixel. Dead pixel test. Hard to spot it, to be honest. Ah, it's right here. Right there. Very small. Yeah, it appears on blue. You don't really see it on white at all. I think it's a white dead pixel. On black, you see it. It's really small. Red, you barely see it. Green, you don't even see it at all. Blue, you see it. White, you don't. So it's just dark colors.
So let's do a deep dive into the various menus, which can be a little bit complex, but still very intuitive.
The buttons feel very tactile. They're easy to click. That's one thing I really like about this. So let's go. We got frame rate boost. We got variable OD, variable refresh rate. We got brightness, contrast, vivid pixel, dynamic dimming, ACR, blue light filter, color, wide gamut, color temperature, saturation, 6-axis, gamma. Input, we have USB-C, DisplayPort, and HDMI. Edge effect. I wonder what that looks like. It's maybe on the back of the monitor. We have shortcuts, shortcut 2, customize setting, save, language English, volume, earphone out, mute. So there is no speaker, it's just for the earphone out. Power indicator, power key lock, power setting, DisplayPort stream 1.4, some information. That's pretty much it. So quite responsive. So I guess in power saving mode, you can't go any higher. You just have up to 24. And that's great because I like to save energy. You can have a 24.5-inch simulation mode. That's pretty cool. That's really neat. When you push the monitor all the way down to the lowest setting, the back stand, the rear stand, doesn't stick out annoyingly. And this was an issue with my previous Acer Predator. It was just so annoying to have that thing kind of stick out. It looked very, very ugly. So this is a really nice attention to detail here. All right, so let's check out the compatibility with your typical monitor light bars. Now this is the Xiaomi Mi Smart Light Bar, and it's a really popular light bar. It's really good, really great entry level. Let's see how it fits. Sometimes there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, so that's the thing with these curved monitors. Yeah, they're gonna, I don't even want to put on it. It's gonna put a lot of pressure, even though there's a large bezel from, about like, I don't know, 1 centimeter. I don't want to put anything here because there's a curvature over here, and that's causing this thing kind of to like bend in. I'm gonna exaggerate like that. And this isn't wide enough to hold it. So this is actually not very versatile. Let's try another type of monitor light bar that I really recommend, and I reviewed it on this channel. So this is honestly my favorite light bar, and I bought a second one for my second office over here This is the Screenbar Pro by BenQ. So you don't need this remote control on your desk so it doesn't take up space. All the controls are on the monitor light bar. It automatically turns on and off. It's really bright. It has a better reflection away from the screen so that it's kind of protruded out a little bit more, and it has these kind of guards to not blind you when you're sitting a bit lower below the light, and it's not going to leak onto the screen as much as some of the other light bars like the Xiaomi light bar. So this is really good. I bought another one. Let's go ahead and quickly unbox it. So here's the fancy LED lights over here. They bend and stuff like that. So when you're sitting lower, like on there, and you're looking at the monitor light bar, this one should not hit my eyes as much. This is ingenious design. Oh boy, here we go. Oh yeah, fits perfectly. Very low pressure. Oh right, that is perfect. Okay, well, not really. It's to kind of bend like that. I mean, curved displays are notorious for getting the monitor light bar to be like perfectly aligned. Let's hope it doesn't move around. All right, and then we can adjust it as we see fit. And I don't want this to creep up like that. I want it to go down. The 1/4-inch thread over here, so you can still have your camera, but this thing will be a little bit in the way, but it's pretty flat. I mean, it doesn't really occupy it that much. By the way, unfortunately, this thing, because of the curvature of this monitor, it slips over time. So this BenQ very expensive Screenbar Pro light bar needs to have a counterweight. So I put this Grovemade planter on top of it to keep it so that it doesn't kind of start tilting upwards and falling off the monitor. This wasn't an issue on some of my other monitors like the MSI one. All right, so let's answer the 4 questions I originally set out to address. First, is this a good productivity 4K monitor? Well, yes, it's an excellent 27-inch 4K monitor. I love the fact that the colors are accurate at sRGB mode, and for productivity tasks like coding and editing, using this monitor feels seamless. The increased pixel density is also a big plus, which is crucial when it comes to doing detailed work on my computer. Now, how is the USB-C delivery and how does it connect to your MacBook? Unfortunately, it's not great. For one, it doesn't have a USB hub, which is a downgrade from my previous monitor, and something the Dell competitor, which is also a dual resolution monitor, does offer. The USB-C power delivery maxes out at only 15 watts, so it can't even keep my M1 Pro charged throughout the day, which is really disappointing. Now, is there coil whine? Yes, there's definitely some coil whine at 320 Hz when using the frame boost mode, but it's not a big issue for me since I usually have my headphones on and it's only temporary. When running at 4K at 160 Hz for productivity, I can barely hear the coil whine. It's there and it's a little bit audible if you put your ear close to the monitor, but it's nowhere near as bad as the coil whine I had with my Gigabyte M27U, which I had to return. So all in all, is it worth getting this monitor for its standout feature, the dual resolution 4K at 160 Hz and the whopping 320 Hz at 1080p? Well, that depends. Do you have a graphics card that can push 320 Hz in your specific game? In my case, I was only getting around 200 to 300 frames per second in CS2, so I wasn't really maximizing the monitor's potential, and I didn't notice a significant upgrade from 160 to 320 Hz versus 60 to 160 Hz. I also find that I often forget to switch it to frame boost mode before I enter my game, and you must do it before you enter the game, otherwise it's going to be locked at the 160 Hz. This is a little bit annoying, but not a deal breaker, of course. If I could go back, I might skip paying the extra premium for this feature unless you find it on a good deal, which currently it is a good deal for US users, but unfortunately not for Canadian users. If you really care about having a USB hub and strong power delivery for an all-in-one setup with your MacBook but still want productivity and gaming, you might want to consider MSI's 4K monitors. They're really budget-friendly, offer great 4K resolution, and have refresh rates that go up to 160 Hz, and offer all those fancy productivity things like a fast power delivery USB-C connection. I'll leave links in the description for both these monitors. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.